Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste and Swagatam. On this auspicious day of Gita Jayanti, we have with us Arati Nagarajan ji, who has studied the Bhagavad Gita at the Arsha Vidya Gurukulam in Anekatti, Coimbatore. She was a full-time student of Vedanta from 2014 to 2017 under the guidance of Acharya Swami Sadatmananda Saraswati ji. About Arati ji, Arati ji has been a student of Vedanta for the past 16 years and a teacher for the past 7. From a young age, she sought to find the purpose of life. She found her guru, Puja Swamiji Dayananda Saraswati, in 2009, and with his blessings, took to full-time pursuit and study of Vedanta in 2014, when she joined the 3-year long-term course on Vedanta and Sanskritam at Arsha Vidya Gurukulam, Anekatti. She worked in the IT industry for 12 years prior to joining the course. In pursuit of knowledge, she had the privilege of studying under Swami Paramarthananda ji and Swami Brahma ji while in Chennai, and Swami Sadatmananda ji and Swami Shankarananda ji while in the course. After the course completion, she has been studying further and sharing her knowledge of Vedanta and Sanskritam to those interested. She has taught the entire Bhagavad Gita once and is presently teaching online for the second time. Vanakkam Arati ji, welcome. Welcome to Brhat. Thank you so much for being here with us on this auspicious occasion of Gita Jayanti. So my question to you would be, Arati ji, Bhagavad Gita has 700 shlokas. Did you study all of them in your course one by one? Was it just the main text, like a summary, or you studied the commentary by Adi Shankara ji also? And how long did it take to complete all this, whether the main text or with the commentary?
Namaste to you and all the viewers. Thank you for hosting me. We studied the entire Bhagavad Gita twice actually in the 3.5-year course. First, in the first 3 months, we had the whole teaching given to us in a summary kind of way, because you couldn't cover every shloka there. But even otherwise, most of the shlokas were covered, and the entire vision of the Bhagavad Gita was given to us. And later, in the 3-year course, after these 3 months, we studied the Bhagavad Gita verse by verse with Shankara Bhashyam, which is the commentary by Adi Shankaracharya ji. Yeah, with elaborate explanations by our Acharya ji.
And how long would that take with the Bhashyam when you study?
A little less than 3 years we took, because we had one class a day.
That's 1 hour? 1 hour a day?
1 hour, yes, 1 hour, yes.
So almost 2.5 years to do that when you do it that way.
Yes.
So would you say, what would you say is the importance to study a commentary, especially by Bhagwan Bhashyakara, as he's called in the Gurukulam, as there are many other commentaries ji by Shankaracharya ji, Madhvacharya ji. So what is for us, what would be the importance of this particular commentary in your opinion?
There are umpteen commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, and it can be a little daunting to know which is the right commentary, which one should we go to. We stick to the tradition. So all these commentaries, they have been also from traditional teachers as well as independent thinkers. And among the traditional teachers also, there are commentaries based on the sampradaya that they belong to. For instance, it can be Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishta Advaita, or Bheda Bhedavada. So there are so many sampradayas. Gaudiya Sampradaya, which is very popular because of the book. But why do we go to this particular Bhashyam by Adi Shankaracharya ji, Bhashyakara, he is called because of his famous Bhashyam, in fact. Because we want to go to what is authentic, what is traditional, what has been passed down in the parampara, which is starting from the Lord himself. So it starts from Lord Narayana himself, and the teaching has been passed down through generations of teachers and students, which is called the Guru Shishya Parampara. And it has come down through Adi Shankaracharya ji's Bhashyam to us.
And this is the Advaita Parampara.
Yes. And even in the introduction to his own Bhashyam to the Bhagavad Gita, Bhashyakara explains why he is writing the commentary. And there he mentions that in his time also, there are so many other commentaries explaining the vision, but he says that they are riddled with inconsistencies and self-contradictions, and therefore he has to write a new bhashyam, a commentary, to give the right vision. And it's so if we want to get the right vision, we go to Bhashyakara's commentary.
Wonderful. So, is it not tougher though to understand, since it is written in elaborate Sanskritam and not very accessible to a lay person? And but if a lay person is interested to know more about the commentary after maybe listening to this video, perhaps where would they go? Do we have other pravachanakartas or Swamijis teaching this for outsiders who are not part of the Gurukulam like you were? And is it only in English or in Hindi or other languages? Where can they find them? If so, we can put them in the YouTube description. If you can share some details, if if there's a fee for it or is it free? So we have a lot of questions regarding the commentary study.
Kavita ji, can we go one by one? Yeah, so we'll answer
Sure.
it one by one. Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
sure, sure. So my question
A lot
was:
of
is the
questions
yes,
together. Fine.
I
First
just
question.
got them together. Is the commentary not very tough to understand? But because it is an elaborate Sanskritam, but if a lay person wants to study from an acharya like you did in the Gurukulam, for a person who's not part of the Gurukulam, where would they go for such resources? Are they
Sure.
available outside, and in what languages?
Yeah. Yes, commentaries are not very easy to understand, and Bhashyakara Shankaracharyaji's style is also unique. It is very profound. Therefore, there are several teachers teaching it, and that is why going to a guru is very important. One cannot do independent study of the Shastra by oneself because our teacher used to say, in order to get the vision of the Shastra, one has to know it verse by verse. So each verse of Bhagavad Gita has to be understood in a proper way to get the entire vision of the Bhagavad Gita. But to get the proper understanding of each verse, one has to have the whole vision. So how do you get that? It's a catch-22 situation, right? So that is solved by going to a teacher in the sampradaya, in the parampara, because the parampara holds the key to this vision, because it has been passed on from the Lord. Who has the vision of the Shastra, vision of the Veda? Only Bhagavan has it, and that teaching has been passed down, right? So going to a guru is very important in order to study the Bhagavad Gita, and even if one knows Sanskrit, even then it is imperative that it is studied only with the help of a guru, because of the reasons that we have seen.
True, thank you. So they will say, yeah, we are willing to go to a guru, but we cannot go to a gurukulam. Maybe they
Yes,
are
yes,
working,
yes.
maybe they have other responsibilities.
Yes, I'm coming to that. Yes. So Sanskrit is, of course, something which is not, I guess, studied very well right now, and therefore it gets a little difficult to follow Sanskrit. So in the Gurukulam, we are given the opportunity to study Sanskrit as well, and therefore it becomes easier for us to follow the commentary. But otherwise, definitely there are teachers who are teaching the Bhagavad Gita, even just the Moolam, and with the Bhashyam in Sanskrit, but in the medium, in the local medium, in all the vernaculars available. It's happening at various centers by different teachers in the parampara. So definitely it is very accessible for anybody who's interested in studying the Bhagavad Gita. The commentary is in Sanskrit, all right, but the teacher will explain it in the local language, whichever
Okay.
is in that area. So it is now teaching is happening in English, which is very common, but otherwise even it is happening in all the regional languages: Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, Hindi. So it's very much very much available. And right
Prevalent.
now, I guess, yeah, one doesn't have to go to a Gurukulam to study the Bhashyam. That's not required. Even from different teachers who are at different centers, one can go and study. Or, of course, nowadays you have the online facility, so you can have an online class as well.
That's wonderful. So would you say that online is as effective, or it depends on the sincerity of the shraddha of the student? Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yes.
So is studying online as effective, or you would say that that is dependent on the student's sincerity or the shraddha that he or she has?
Yes, I would say that it does depend on the student. the time that student can give, the mental makeup of the student, what is the commitment of the student towards this teaching. If the person is able to devote a lot of time, and this is the only pursuit in life, if one has realized that, then one goes to the Gurukulam. But otherwise, if the person wants to still live an active life, the person can continue to listen and be with the teaching in the form of these online classes. But generally, if a person is just starting to study Vedanta, he or she is just entering, it is always recommended that one goes and interacts with the guru live. In-person interaction in the beginning is very much recommended.
Okay.
After that, a relationship or rapport has been built, then it becomes easier for the person to receive the teaching as well.
True.
So, because the whole teaching is in the form of dialogue,
Hmm.
right? So, the person has to be having that shraddha in the person who is teaching. So that comes only when there is some
That
level of
connection
interaction.
is
There is,
there.
yes, the connection is built. Yeah.
Yes.
And
So, do you teach the Bhasham online? If somebody, after listening to this, wants to start learning from you, let's say, do you have an online class of the Bhasham? And if so, we can put the description in the YouTube description area.
right now, I've been only teaching the Moolam. I'll have to think about, Bhasham classes. Yeah, whether
Okay.
people
The
are
Moolam you
interested.
teach. So
Yes.
people can join in for the Moolam, the main text, the main shlokas. Okay. Thank you so much for that. So now we come to the core question. I was also confronted with this by some non-Hindus, Indian non-Hindus, who would say that Gita encourages, and among Hindus also there is this prevalent understanding that Gita encourages us to fight wars. So, what would you say to that? Because when we study the Gita, we look at it very differently. But from an outsider or a person who's a naysayer, for them, Bhagavad Gita is a manual to fight wars, and they say it encourages violence. So, since Bhagavan Krishna asks Arjuna to stand up and fight in the Gita very categorically, we would like an answer from you to understand it better, the core message. If it is not fighting war, what was his intention in saying so?
Sure. Yes, I guess there was a court case as well, right, to settle this.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, if one does not have the right understanding, does not read the right commentary, this is what happens. Right? So, we have to understand everything based on the context. The teaching is based on the context. Of course, the core teaching is relevant for everybody, but the contextual teaching is only relevant to that context. And this um, call of Lord Krishna to Arjuna to stand up and fight is only regarding that context. So, the context, as we know, was the Mahabharata war in the Kurukshetra, where Arjuna was completely overwhelmed with conflicts in his mind. He wasn't sure what to do and what not to do. And the Bhagavad Gita is the teaching which solves his problem. But in solving the problem, Bhagavan had to tell him what is to be done in that situation, in that particular situation. Arjuna wanted to solve the fundamental problem. He didn't ask Krishna just whether should I fight or not. Initially, he did ask that, should I fight or not? And finally, he said, I'm not going to fight. He declared, I'm not going to fight, and then said, and Bhagavan first only just asked him to, he tried to give a pep talk and say, come on, get up, fight. What is this? I didn't expect this from you. Come on, fight. And then Arjuna, when he understood that he's not going to solve his problem just by this decision of whether to fight the war or not, because he saw that he's going to end up the same dissatisfied person, even if he won the war or he lost the war.
Yes.
So he understood that his problem is not topical. It is not something which is only restricted to this
Current.
situation.
Yeah.
He wanted to solve the fundamental problem, and therefore he asked Lord Krishna, I am your student, please teach me. Only then Bhagavan started the real teaching, which is called Brahma Vidya.
From the
So,
second chapter onwards, mid of the
yes,
second
from the second chapter onwards. Yeah. Till then, he was just telling Arjuna, stand up and fight. So,
chapter.
there, Arjuna is trying to solve his fundamental problem of non self acceptance.
Hmm.
All because of the conflicts, because basically he was overwhelmed with sorrow
Hmm.
because of confusion of what to do and what not to do, what is right and what is wrong.
Hmm.
Because he was again under the pressure of his own likes and dislikes.
Hmm.
And that's where Bhagavan comes in and teaches that you have to do what is to be done. And
Hmm.
there, in that situation, the
Hmm.
war was to be fought because, as a Kshatriya, as a warrior, it was his duty
Hmm.
to wage the war for the sake of Dharma. And therefore, it was asked by Krishna, by Lord Krishna, to wage the war. But otherwise, in
Hmm.
our situation, it does not mean we have to stand up and fight.
True.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Yes, that was very clear, Aarti ji. Thank you so much. But when we come to a personal level, and that is the message in general, let's say for the human race as such, when we come to the person, the individual, how has Bhagavad Gita transformed your life? And if you can give us some bring us some examples from the Gita, some shlokas that have helped you. What is the relevance for people in day-to-day life in Vyavahara? Because the general message is good, but to bring it down to a personal level will help people understand the value of Gita much more, I would think.
I would like to start with explaining what is the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, and
Please.
then, yeah, we'll see how it can help a person in
Sure.
their day to day life. Yeah. So, Bhagavad Gita, the teaching is having two aspects, is in the form of two lifestyles which are suitable for two different kinds of people. So Bhagavan himself mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita, Lokesmin Vividha Nishtha, in the third chapter, he says. So basically, Bhagavad Gita is addressing the fundamental problem of the human beings. What is that? That
Yes. There's so many
that
problems.
yes, yes, so many problems, yes, but all of them, when they are analyzed,
Hmm.
they just become just one problem,
Hmm.
which is self non acceptance. We think
That's
that
not
we
very
don't.
clear, Aarti ji. What is self
Yes,
non
let me
acceptance?
explain.
Huh.
Let me explain. Yes. So, why do we think we have problems? Because there is some non acceptance of things, right? Why is there a problem at all? Why do we think I have a problem? Because something is in a way which we don't want it to be,
Ah,
right?
ah.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. It can be with reference to oneself,
Hmm.
or with reference to people around, or
Hmm.
with reference to situations,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
Objects and situations. Now, is the problem outside? Is it really with the world? Is it really with me? That has to be analyzed. Where is the
Yes.
problem? Yeah.
Generally, it seems to be with the world or the people outside. Because if the maid doesn't show up, or my boss doesn't give me a raise, or I don't know, like the flight gets cancelled or delayed, it seems to be outside.
Correct. That's what we would think, but we
Yes.
further question that.
Hmm.
So, all this is only with inquiry, right? A lot of
Yes.
inquiry is
Hmm.
required for us to decipher what is the fundamental problem. And this inquiry is part of the teaching. All right. So, if we inquire further, we understand that the problem is not actually outside with the external world, but the problem is with me relating to that world,
Hmm.
right? So, because I am not able to accept myself in that situation, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
We
Hmm.
think the situation is not acceptable, but the
Hmm.
truth is, I am
Hmm.
not able to accept myself in that situation.
Hmm.
If I am able to accept it, the situation doesn't cause me any problem.
True. So you're saying whatever the situation, if I'm mentally okay with whatever the situation, then there's no problem really.
Exactly, yeah. And
Hmm.
sometimes I think that also happens. The
Hmm.
situation may be very tough,
Hmm.
but we are not so overwhelmed in that situation. We are able to handle it. we are okay with ourselves, then it doesn't become a problem. So where should we solve it? Is it at the external level or with oneself? If we analyze, we can't change what's around. If we can change, of course, we can change.
We would.
But the issue
Yes.
is, yeah, we would and we should. Yeah.
Huh.
But if it is not something within our choice,
Hmm.
we have to be able to deal with it, right? However it is. So then where do we solve the problem? With reference to oneself, right? But how can I accept myself in that situation?
Hmm.
It's very tough, it's very challenging. Now,
Hmm.
why I am not able to accept myself in that situation?
Hmm.
Because I feel this should be in this way, this is not good, this is good, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I have this pressure that this should be in a particular way. Yeah. Why do I have that? Because first I feel limited
Hmm. Hmm.
and I'm trying to get out of that sense of limitation.
Yes.
I'm trying to fix things around.
Hmm.
And when they don't go as I wanted, I am not happy, I'm upset with it.
I'm
Right?
angry.
I'm angry, yeah, in so many ways, yeah. That's
Yes.
exactly, yes.
The
That also
bandwidth is
is
not good enough. It's not quick enough. Yes.
that is also analyzed in the Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. What is the cause of anger? That is
Hmm.
also explained by Bhagavan very nicely. So my frustration, my resistance to things is because first I'm not able to accept myself being limited. What are the kinds of limitations that I have?
Hmm.
I have only this body,
Yes.
right? Only this much, how many ever kilos, how many, whatever health it enjoys, right?
Hmm.
Or it can be with reference to the mind, with the intellect. This is how my mind is, always restless or always subject to some emotions. Or it could be with the intellect, only this much. I know, I do not know so many things.
I
I
can't
have
remember,
only this. I
I
can't
forget.
exactly with
Yes.
reference to memory, yes. And I'm not so sharp. I'm not
Hmm.
intellectual, or I'm very intellectual, whatever it is.
Yes.
Um, right? And at this level, because I feel this sense of limitation,
Hmm.
I try to fix it
Hmm. Hmm.
by trying to fix the external world and
Hmm.
myself.
True. Hmm.
And when that's obstructed, then I am upset, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
the Shastra tries
Hmm.
to analyze, is
Hmm.
that true? The sense of limitation that one feels,
Hmm.
is that real?
Hmm.
Is that what you are? Are you limited?
So it's totally flipping the whole thing instead of
Yes,
looking at it from like outside what I can do. It's totally flipping it to me and
exactly.
myself. And oh
Exactly.
wow.
And
Hmm.
that's exactly what spirituality is about,
Hmm.
right? Self growth leading to self discovery. So, there we analyze further, am I really limited? Then the
Hmm.
Shastra gives us the right vision about ourselves.
Hmm.
This sense of limitation is born because I am identifying with this body, with this
Hmm.
mind, with this intellect, right? And all the attributes of the body, mind, and the
This
senses.
particular name and form.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think I am tall, I am short, I am bald,
Hmm.
I am.
Have glasses, bad
I have
eyesight.
glasses. I am beautiful. I am not so beautiful. Right? So much of complex is built just on the texture of hair or length of hair or the
Hmm.
presence of absence of hair. Right?
Absolutely.
Or,
Yes.
yeah, or the complexion, whatever. The
Hmm.
features. Swamiji used to say, if we didn't have a nose, at least we'll have one less reason to have a complex about. Right? Based on the features of the body or the attributes, the capacity of the body or the senses or the mind, there are so many complexes,
So
right? Why?
everything creates a complex. Our
Yes,
attributes and the
yes,
situations. Everything is a
yes,
complex for us. Yes.
yes. And we analyze further, why do I have this complex?
Hmm.
Because human being is
Hmm.
endowed with this unique facility of this self-awareness, uninhibited self-awareness that a cow or a dog or a cat does not have. They all
Hmm.
have self-awareness, all right, at an primitive level. They are able
Hmm.
to identify their own species.
Hmm.
That's there. They
Hmm.
identify what's their food, right? There is a
Who's the
food cycle.
enemy? Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
yes,
Yes.
all that is there. But a human being is unique
Hmm.
because the person has uninhibited self-awareness.
Hmm.
And because of that, there is
Hmm.
also self-judgment.
Hmm.
The cow
Hmm.
does not think my horns are crooked or my tail is not clean or
As
anything
pretty
like
as
that.
the other
As
ones.
yeah, I
Long,
am only this cow and
bushy.
that is a different. Yes, a dog does not feel sorry. I'm a street dog or I don't have a bushy tail. No,
Hmm.
it doesn't have any complex.
Hmm.
But a human being has a lot of complexes. Why? Because of this self judgment.
Hmm.
Right? Why is the self judgment? Because of identification with this body mind sense complex. And why is there an identification?
Hmm.
Because of ignorance about myself. I
Hmm.
think I am only this much.
So I
Because
don't know the reality you're saying. I don't know what
exactly,
the
yeah.
reality.
So I
Okay.
have not analyzed really what I am. I
Hmm.
have not understood what I am really.
Hmm.
There is no clear knowledge of what I am. And
Hmm.
therefore, so many wrong conclusions are made about myself.
Hmm.
And I transfer all the problems of the body,
Hmm.
mind, senses to myself and feel limited. And I
Hmm.
can't stand that limitation. I cannot. Can you stand thinking I'm not good enough?
Of course not.
Yes. Once you feel I'm not good enough, you will try
Yes.
to get over it by doing
Hmm.
something, right?
Hmm.
So you'll have a lot of desires which
Hmm.
are based on one's mental makeup or what one likes and what one dislikes. And then you go about fulfilling the
Correct.
desires
Correct.
and then you try to fulfill them. Some may be fulfilled, some may not be fulfilled, right?
Hmm.
And there again there is a notion of success and failure. And even after you fulfill your desires, you are left the same person, same wanting person, because the fundamental sense of limitation has not been solved, right? So one aspect of limitation is settled, then there is another aspect. We
So
always
the
thought
whole of
that
the samsara in the world, from what you're telling me, is just this. Then it's very depressing. Then that we're just doing everything and so many things for nothing.
nothing, yes, because of this wrong notion
Hmm.
that I am limited only this much. And
Hmm.
that's where the self non acceptance is. So we are
Hmm.
coming back there.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
because of all this, there is self non acceptance. And that is what is called samsara in Sanskrit.
Hmm.
This life of becoming,
Hmm.
where we try to neutralize or we try to overcome this self non acceptance by doing something,
Hmm.
doing one thing or the other. So from
Hmm.
childhood, if you analyze your own life, each life,
Hmm.
then we think that after I do this, I'll be happy. After I get this,
Yes.
I'll be happy. After I
Hmm.
reach this, I'll be happy. Has that ever happened? Maybe
No.
for that moment, yes. When we fulfill something, a desire, there is some happiness. We'll not deny that.
Hmm.
But
It's
are we
finite. Very little time. Yeah.
yes, just for that moment. Then
Hmm.
later there is one more desire, right?
Yes.
Why? Because I have not solved the fundamental problem of feeling limited, this
Hmm.
notion of being limited.
Hmm.
And that is solved by Bhagavad Gita by showing what you are. What is the reality of this I? It is not limited by this body, mind, sense complex. It is limitless Atma, which
Hmm.
is called Brahma, which
Hmm.
is the cause of this entire world. So that's the
Wow.
whole teaching.
Hmm.
That solves the problem. It is not just by knowing that I am free from this body that solves half the problem,
Hmm.
right? So I don't subject myself to the problems of the body. Yes, but I'm not the body, all right. What am I? So
Correct. What
I'm
about the
still,
world? Yeah.
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 So
Hmm.
that is solved by the teaching saying
Hmm.
that you are that Atma, which
Hmm.
is Brahma.
Hmm.
Or in fact, it can be said, entire teaching is
Hmm.
showing that
Hmm.
I,
Hmm.
the Jiva, as it is called in Sanskrit, which is the limited individual, is in fact Ishvara, who is the cause of this entire Jagat.
Hmm.
How is that possible? One may ask. How can
Yes.
this limited individual
Hmm.
be the cause of this entire Jagat? That is where the teaching comes in, where the individual is analyzed, Ishvara is analyzed, and the oneness between this Jiva and Ishvara is shown. It
And
is
this is
not,
all shown in the Bhagavad Gita. This
yes,
is all done in the Bhagavad Gita. The
yes, yes.
individual is analyzed, the world is analyzed, and the how they're equal is also shown.
Yeah, equal, yes, how they are one. It's
How they
not
are one.
equal,
It's not
how they are
equality.
one. Right, right.
Yeah.
And this is Brahma Vidya. This is called Brahma Vidya. So this is one aspect of the teaching.
So people don't get confused. There are a lot of them who might not know even the basics. This is not Brahmaji of Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. We're talking of
Yes.
Brahman, right? So yeah.
Brahman is the reality of all that is here. Right? Now, the second aspect, the teaching is in the form of another aspect, which is Yoga Shastra.
Hmm.
What is Yoga Shastra? In order to understand and assimilate this teaching, in order to even be ready for this teaching, one has to have some preparedness. One has to have lived a life of dharma with a certain attitude. That is also taught by the Bhagavad Gita in the form of Karma Yoga. So, what we saw earlier, Brahma Vidya is also called Jnana Yoga, and this lifestyle is called Karma Yoga. This another lifestyle is called Karma Yoga, where a person is still living an active life in the pursuit of fulfilling one's duties, but has discovered moksha as the goal. So it is very important that one has discovered that freedom from the sense of limitation, which we call moksha, is the goal of life.
So
And
that person
afterwards,
has understood the limitation of his or her regular life and has realized that unless I pursue, in quotes, moksha or freedom from this limitation, I will never be completely free. But yet, for whatever reasons, is still in the regular life, maybe responsibilities are not ready, he or
yes,
she is not ready. So this is the
exactly.
lifestyle you're talking about for them. They need to do, or karma yoga is for such people.
Yes. So Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita, for the Sankhyas, for the renunciates, for the sannyasis who are able to live a committed lifestyle of this pursuit alone of studying and understanding this Brahma Vidya, this Jnana Yoga is given. And for
Sannyasis and
those,
others.
yes,
Yeah.
sannyasis, yes. For those who are still living an active life in their ashrama, that is various ashramas are there, four ashramas are there,
Like grihastha.
brahmacharya, yeah, grihastha. So basically, yeah, this teaching is very relevant for grihasthas also, because
Yes.
it is said, the teacher is a grihastha, mahagrihastha, Lord Krishna,
Yes.
and student Arjuna is
He's
also
also
a
good.
grihastha.
Yes,
So
yes,
this
yes.
Bhagavad Gita teaching is very relevant for grihasthas. So for grihasthas who are living an active lifestyle, doing their duties, going about fulfilling their rightful desires, this way of karma yoga is taught. Karma yoga is that lifestyle which gives the person the right attitude. It is a yoga of attitude. It is just an attitude. It's not, sometimes people think karma yoga is doing something without expecting the
Yeah.
results.
Yes.
No, that is not so. It is performing one's duties as an offering to Ishvara, as an offering to Bhagavan, and receiving the results as prasada from Bhagavan.
So
So
prasada
this,
buddhi, having prasada
yes,
buddhi,
having prasada
arpana buddhi.
buddhi towards the result of action, and having this Ishvara arpana buddhi as an offering to Ishvara. So one has to understand the whole teaching works only when one recognizes Bhagavan. So there is no Bhagavad Gita without understanding, recognizing Bhagavan.
Yes.
So one has to understand that, and one is, if one is able to live this life of karma yoga with the right attitude, one gains the preparedness for receiving this teaching
So
of
when you're
this.
saying, Aarti ji, thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but when you're saying one has to recognize Bhagavan, I see a seeming contradiction here because we're saying Advaitam and we are saying the oneness. And here, from my when I'm listening to you, let's say I'm playing the devil's advocate. When we're thinking of Bhagavan, then we're thinking of a higher power, somebody bigger, better than me in all senses. Then there is this duality. So can you please, address that a little bit for me and others?
Sure. So this teaching works at different levels. So when in the stage of Karma Yoga, one first understands that there is somebody called Bhagavan who is the cause of this entire Jagat, who is the giver of the results of my actions, which is called Karma Phala Data, the giver of my results of actions. So that recognition is imperative for one to live a life of dharma, a life of karma yoga. At this stage, when the person is not yet ready to receive that teaching, one still recognizes Bhagavan as the supreme power, as you say, the higher power, who is the cause of this entire Jagat, who is Sarva Shakti, Sarva Jnanam, who is omniscient, who is all
Omnipresent.
pervading. Yes,
Yes.
that understanding is required at this
Hmm.
stage.
Hmm.
Yes. But one further analyzes
Hmm.
what the reality is. The
Hmm.
Shastra analyzes all this. What is
Hmm.
the reality of the individual? What is the
Hmm.
reality of the Jagat, this world? What is the reality of Ishvara,
Hmm.
God? Then the oneness is shown.
Hmm.
So this is like once you complete primary school, you
Hmm.
can move on to secondary
Slowly
school.
move on. Yes.
Yeah. So Karma Yoga is like the life of preparation for Jnana Yoga.
Hmm.
Some people may not be able to completely shift to Jnana Yoga lifestyle
Hmm.
because of their, whatever
Circumstances in life.
situations they are
Yeah.
in.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that one will get just stuck in that stage.
Hmm.
Karma Yoga is a means for moksha also.
Wonderful.
That's why Bhagavan says Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga, both
Hmm.
lead to the same result, moksha. How? Even while being in action,
Hmm.
one can recognize the reality through this
Hmm.
teaching. So one
Hmm.
has gained that preparedness by living a life of karma yoga,
Hmm.
then one can still understand this oneness and
Hmm.
gain more.
And that is why perhaps before, and when we have to look back a bit, I'm bringing the sociological aspect. When we have different varnas or jatis, a weaver could still continue to weave, and perhaps gain brahma if there was this kind of preparation and karma yoga done with this understanding. So it was not prevented. Jnanam was not forbidden for anybody, right? So different jatis could get jnanam. They did not have to study in a gurukulam, like a
Correct.
bhashyam from a guru if they didn't want to, and
Yes.
they couldn't because
Yes.
they had to weave a sari. So
Yes.
just bringing that in
Yes.
here.
Yes, so the goal of every human being is moksha. Yes,
Hmm.
and that is also told by Bhagavan how one can gain this moksha just being in a person's own, dharma.
Profession or whatever we are
Yes,
doing.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, just by doing one's dharma, being in one's dharma, one can still gain this moksha because
Hmm.
the goal in life has been already understood. The preparation for that is done just by being in that dharma. Then teaching becomes a walkover. So once that
Hmm.
teaching happens, it is a
Hmm.
walkover. It need not be necessarily in the form of bhashyam, studying the
Hmm.
bhashyam.
Hmm. Hmm.
This message said anywhere else is the same message.
Hmm.
However, it is said.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's why this message of the vision of Vedanta is spread all over in the Shastra in the form of you have the Itihasas, we have the Puranas, we
Ramayana,
have
Mahabharata.
so many places one has access to the same vision of the Shastra.
So nobody is missing out. So it's
Yes,
everywhere, and at different stages, different levels, people can access whatever interests them or they have access to.
yes.
So this is wonderful, Artiji. So just coming back to that question of any shlokas for you that personally were very important that helped you, or otherwise you feel are very good for people's growth. If you could maybe chant one or two, and maybe I can repeat, so people can take away maybe from this after watching this, maybe one or two shlokas that they can repeat in their lives. What would you share?
Sure. So as I said, we Bhagavad Gita tries to solve the problem in two different ways. While addressing the fundamental problem, also you have certain verses. which is going back to the understanding of the reality.
Hmm.
Those verses
Hmm.
are when you have understood,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
they bring back the vision. So
Hmm.
those verses are also there.
Hmm.
But even otherwise,
Hmm.
on a day-to-day basis, handling
Hmm.
situations,
Hmm.
even for that, of course, there are many verses that can
Hmm.
help. A few
Hmm.
of them, yeah,
Hmm.
I thought about is where in the second chapter, when Bhagavan starts the teaching,
Hmm.
he says this to Arjuna:
Hmm.
these pairs of opposites, this cold and heat, this
Hmm.
victory or loss, or
Hmm.
um, all these pairs of opposites,
Hmm.
happiness or sorrow, they are not permanent, they are short lived. They
Hmm.
come and go. And
Hmm.
therefore, Arjuna, just put up with them. So just go through them. Yeah. There is no other choice. For choiceless
Correct.
situation,
Hmm.
there is no you point in resisting and complaining. Just go
Yes.
through. Understand that they will come and they will go. Nothing is going to be permanent. So that verse is the 14th verse of the second verse.
Okay.
Uh, would you want me to chant?
Yes, please. I'll repeat. We'll do one line, you can chant, and I'll repeat so people can learn that. So this is 214, right? Chapter
Yes.
214th shloka. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय
मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय
शीतोष्णसुखदुःखदाः
शीतोष्णसुखदुःखदाः
आगमापायिनो नित्याः
आगमापायिनो नित्याः
तां स्थितिक्षस्व भारत.
तां तितिक्षस्व भारत. So
Dear
titiksha
brothers,
would be the
yes,
tolerance, or bearing the
yes,
opposites.
acceptance. Yeah, basically accept
Acceptance.
how they come as they come.
Hmm.
So they are bound to come and go. So, but understand that they will not stay. That's the
Hmm.
whole
That's
message.
the core.
They will not
Yes.
stay. Yeah.
Hmm.
So they are anityaha also. They are
Hmm.
impermanent and
Hmm.
they come and go. Just handle them as they
Hmm.
are. So that has helped me in situations where we try to think that this is not how it should be.
Hmm.
So suddenly your geyser stops working or there is a
Yes.
power shutdown on a
Yes.
winter morning. What do you
Yes.
do? You
Yes.
have to take a bath. So this actually happened to me.
Oh,
So
really? Was it this winter or some other winter? It's been
some
cold.
other winter, yeah,
Okay.
some other winter. So this verse came to my mind. Yeah,
And especially if you were in Uttarkashi or somewhere when the geyser doesn't
yeah,
work.
yeah.
Yes.
And of course, there is a very popular verse,
Hmm.
Karmanyevadhikaraste. This I think a lot of people may know.
People know this one. Yes.
Yes, yeah, very popular verse.
Yes.
So there, Bhagavan says, you are not the author of the result of your action. You
Hmm.
have choice only with reference to your action. There it
Hmm.
stops. Yeah. You can make your effort, all
Hmm.
right. You do your best, you give your best shot.
Hmm.
But what comes
Hmm.
is not under your control. Don't try to control it.
Hmm.
At the same time, don't have an insistence that this is how it should be with
Hmm.
reference to the result of the action. Because there are so many factors involved. It is not just
Hmm.
my effort
Hmm.
that brings about the result. There are so
Hmm.
many other factors. So one
Hmm.
recognizes those invisible factors
Hmm.
and recognizes that the result is coming from Bhagavan.
So no insistence and resistance, like you were saying, like Acharya ji says.
Exactly.
So no insistence
Exactly.
on a particular result, no resistance to whatever is happening.
Exactly. Because if we see,
Hmm.
we judge ourselves based on how many desires we have fulfilled and how many we have not. And if we have fulfilled many desires satisfactorily, then we think we are a success in life.
Hmm.
And if we
Hmm.
have not, then we think we are a failure.
Yes.
But fulfilling desires, is it, practical? Can you fulfill all desires?
Never.
You never, right? So we understand that I can try to fulfill some desire, all right, but the result is not just up to me. One understands that this is happening because this is what I deserve. Of course, we have to see, there is a lot of thinking involved, proper clarity involved, where one is able to see what I can change, what I cannot change,
Correct.
what I should
It's not
accept.
fatalism that something
Yes,
bad is happening
exactly.
or something is wrong
Exactly.
happening to somebody and we let it go. Not like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have to
This is
fight for
all
that.
with reference to choiceless situation. If there is a
Yes,
choice, of
yes,
course, we can
yes,
try to change it.
yes. We should.
But
Yeah.
if there is a choiceless situation, the result is not really in my hands. And
Hmm.
therefore, I am ready to accept things as they are. Even if my desires are not fulfilled, I am able to handle myself. And that is real success in day-to-day living. So we think this is how it should be. Recently there was I think there is a lot of stress because of our insistence on how the result should be, right?
Hmm.
And therefore there is frustration, there is depression,
Hmm.
there is anger. So
Yes.
if we understand that this, what is happening when there is
Hmm.
no choice,
Hmm.
is coming from Bhagavan, we have this prasada buddhi.
Hmm. There's more calmness, acceptance, and peace.
When we recognize the presence of Bhagavan in that result, there
Hmm.
is this attitude of prasada,
Hmm.
accepting it as prasada, and
Hmm.
that releases us from all these frustrations and
Hmm.
non-acceptance and resistance to it. This also I have seen, so just
Wonderful.
being able to accept, if you are being served something and only
Hmm.
your dosa is burnt, what would you say?
Just take it. It's okay.
Yeah, if you don't have a choice, of course you can ask
Yes.
for another one.
Yes.
If you are
Yes.
in a hurry, this is how it
Hmm.
is today, or you are making it yourself and there is no
Correct.
more matter left, this is how it has
Correct.
come.
Correct.
So what do you do? Okay, this is how Ishvara is giving me today.
It's like
Yeah.
you stepped into my kitchen, Artiji. Seems like you saw what happened because it's happened to me. And I think parents prepare us for this in our Sanatana Dharma, in our culture. Whenever prasadam is given in temple, Amma would always say, "Take what is given, never ask for more, and eat what is in your hand." Like if you don't like, you may
Exactly.
like the banana they give you, you may not like something else they give you. But since it's prasadam, you uh, just take it as a prasadam, and that attitude when you grow, it helps if we know to translate that into every aspect of our lives, because this is
Exactly. Yeah.
this is the way we are brought up. Prasadam is not to be
Exactly. Yes.
questioned.
Exactly, exactly. You said it right. Because we have that privilege of being in this culture, being able to understand what is prasadam. And
Hmm.
that is because we recognize Bhagavan behind that. If
Hmm.
anybody else gave that same thing to you, it's not prasada.
No.
But if we recognize Bhagavan's presence in that, then
Hmm.
it is taken and we are able to accept it
Hmm.
as prasada. Because we have this attitude, prasada is not to be questioned. Or however it comes, we are able to accept it.
And however little, because sometimes you like it and you want more, you can't
Exactly.
ask for
Yes,
more.
yes, yes. Our little. So there are
And
four
you can't
ways.
reject it also. You're not supposed to reject it. You can't say no. You can't say
Yes,
diabetes hai ya mujhe pasand nahi. You can't do anything of that sort. You have to take it. You have to eat it.
exactly.
Yes.
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 So however little, however more, however less,
Hmm.
and in whatever way it comes. That's why we understand that any result of action can be in four ways.
Hmm.
One is when it is equal to our expectation.
Okay.
Another is when it is not equal to our expectation.
Burnt
Okay,
dosa.
that is,
Hmm.
yeah, less than
Huh.
expected,
Huh.
right? Another is more than expected.
Hmm. Masala dosa.
Yeah, yeah, more than expected, yes. And something, the fourth result is where it is completely unexpected.
I don't know what that would be. Batter is over, or the neighbor
That
comes
is
with a,
over. Or yeah, it's a charred
breakfast.
dosa, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's burnt or uncooked or whatever. So
Hmm.
equal to is a nice dosa.
Hmm.
Less than is some not as crisp
Tasty.
as
Good.
I would
Crisp.
like to be or tasty. Yeah. Or of course above expectation, as you said, can be masala dosa. What you like.
Hmm.
And completely unexpected is something burnt or something you didn't expect. So
Batter is
all
over. You
these,
don't have a
yeah,
dosa. Huh.
whichever. So there are these possibilities. We recognize that the results can be in any of these four categories.
Each result will be any of these
Yeah,
four
each result. Yeah,
in our lives.
anything. Yeah, in our lives, any situation
Hmm.
can give us these four kinds of results.
Hmm.
But when one recognizes that the result is coming from Bhagavan, however
Hmm.
it is,
Hmm.
then I'm able to accept that as prasada.
Any
And
of this
not,
I'm able to accept. Yeah.
yeah, so that releases us from so much of tension and judgment about ourselves. Right?
Pressure.
Yes, a pressure, lot of pressure. Yes, stress.
Hmm. Stress. Yes.
Yes, a lot of students they are so tensed. How am I going to write the exam? How many marks am I going to get? They are so tensed about the result of their actions. So
Yes.
when one understands, one has only choice with reference to one's action. I
That's it.
prepare my best. I write.
And do my
I
best.
plan. I write it well. I give my
Hmm.
best.
Hmm.
Whatever comes is okay, because one is always thinking about the result. Even
Hmm.
this action is also affected. It is not
Correct.
as effective as it is. So when one is released from the pressure of this attachment towards the result, one is able to give the best, because
Yes.
one doesn't have the pressure that this is how it should be.
Thank you. This is so much clarity. Wonderful unfoldment, Aarti ji. Would you have time to chant the Gita Dhyana shlokas with us, with
Sure.
me, so that
Yes.
the audience are able to uh, perhaps chant with us or listen to it at a later time during Gita Jayanti? So, as a
Definitely.
part of Gita Jayanti, we would like to chant it together.
Sure.
Please start at your convenience. I'll follow you.
Yes, sure. Would you like to do all the shlokas?
Yes, please. Together. We don't have to do one after the other. We'll chant it together so we don't take too much time and all of them. There are 11,
um, I
I
see
suppose.
eight, eight, eight.
8 or 9. Yeah, we'll do all together. Yeah.
Yeah. ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुना मध्ये महाभारतम्
अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं
भगवतीम्
भगवतीं
अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम्
अष्टाध्यायिनीं
अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि
संसर्गधाम भगवत्
भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे
सविशालबुद्धे
तुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः
तैलपूर्णः
प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः
प्रदीपः
प्रपन्नपारिजाताय
प्रपन्नपारिजाताय
स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय
ज्ञानमुद्राय
कृष्णाय
कृष्णाय
गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो
उपनिषदो गाः
दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो
पार्थो
वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता
वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता
गीतं दुग्धं गीतामृतं
अमृतं महत्
वसुदेवसुतं
सुतं देवं
कंसचाणूरमर्दनं
मूरमर्दनं
देवकी
देवकी
परमानन्दं
परमानन्दं
कृष्णं
कृष्णं
वन्दे
ये
जगद्
जगद्गुरुम्
भीष्मद्रोणतटारिणः
पूर्णतपाज
कथजला
रथजननी
गान्धारनीलोत्पला
गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहमती कृपेण
शल्यग्राहवहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णयो
विकर्णघोरमकरा
दुर्योधनावर्तिनी
वर्तिनी
उत्तीर्णा
तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैः
पाण्डवैः कैवर्तकः केशवः
पाराशर्यवचः
पाराशर्यममलं
सर्वम्
गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम्
गीतगन्धोत्कटम्
नानाख्यानककेसरम्
केसरं
अर्थथा
हरिकृतं
सम्बोधनाबोधि
सम्बोधनाबोधितम्
लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः
षट्पदैर्हरः
पेपीयमानं मुदा
भूयात्
भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं
पङ्कजं
विमलप्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे
श्रेयसे
मूकं करोति
करोति
वाचालं
वाचालं
पङ्गुं
पङ्गुं
लङ्घयते
लङ्घयते गिरिम्
यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे
वन्दे
परमानन्दमाधवम्
नन्दमानसम्
यं ब्रह्मा
ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः
वन्दे
स्तुन्वन्ति
दिव्यैस्तवैः
दिव्यैस्तवैः
वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः
साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः
गायन्ति यं
यन्ति
सामगाः
ज्ञानावस्थिततत्त्वतेन
ध्यानावस्थितमनसा
मनसा
पश्यन्ति यं
पश्यन्ति
योगिनः
योगिनः
यस्यान्तं
यस्तं
न
न
विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै
यस्मै
नमः।
Thank you, Aditi. That was wonderful. I learned a lot. There was so much clarity. I hope the audience also took something from this. And we wish all the viewers and you a very, very happy Gita Jayanti. Namaste. Hari Om.